to be in here in studio with my man Tito Sanchez.
What's up, sir? How you doing, man?
Texas finest.
Always, man. You Cali's finest, big dog.
We gotta bring out the best, right?
So you gotta win. Put us in.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Man, you know so much about the nutrition side of things, the science part of things. I was wondering, what's the biggest nutritional myth that athletes still hear?
Ooh, I think there's so many of them. But I mean, I think if you're looking for athletic athletes, that creatine is not good for you. Creatine makes you cramp, right? Like I think one thing that has changed over the past couple of years is creatine will help everybody from cognition to recovery to strength to development. I think that's the biggest thing that is shared too much is that some of these nutritional benefits will not benefit. I mean, creatine definitely is one of the bigger ones.
How about like some of the other fads, like low fat diet, low carb diets?
I mean,
When it comes to people, attaining certain level of athletics, skill.
well, I think it really just depends on what is that end game goal, right? I mean, the pyramid did change lately, right? And protein definitely is needed across the board. And if you look at IGF-1, they don't say take carbs.
Right.
They say take protein, right? And I think that's the one biggest thing about just athletes is you need to take your protein, right? Protein period, protein all day, helps you recover. But I think the biggest myth is just that protein pyramid of it did switch for the benefit of everyone. But really, carbs are not the end game goal. Carbs will help the fuel.
Right.
Carbs will help with what you need to do. But if you're not running, if you're not lifting, where do those carbs go? They go to the fat.
Right. In terms of like the fat eating, intake, that type of stuff, what does that benefit an athlete?
I mean, I think it's timing of energy in itself, right? I mean, I think for you, you know this, right? Like in certain points in the time in the game, you do get fatigued. And guess what? You take a little electrolyte boost of carbs because you need it right then and there. You need those fast absorbing carbs in the day of that moment of the energy that's needed, right? But if you also look at your marathon runner, those carbs are different. So just the energy source that the material can provide you is really how you need to adjust when you take it.
Understood. I think I had a misconception that low fat was going to be a good thing for me, and I ran into starting to have brain function.
Well, yeah,
kind of
especially
slowing
being
down, that type of
a
stuff,
type 1 diabetic. I mean, that's a completely different beast in itself, let alone being athletic,
Right.
Completely different.
The low carb thing also too. I mean, when you're talking about hormones and stuff like that, right? So you got kids who are still developing, right? And their parents are putting them on these fads. You know what I mean?
They're not truly going to get that end result that they may think that they're looking for, right? It definitely is one of those different hiccups that education is still needed across the board on every single level. But the one thing that I think is always lost is when you work out, you are helping balance your hormones. You're increasing that testosterone when that's needed. You are reducing the estrogen when it's needed as well too. But what's the biggest key? It's your sleep, your food, not as many carbs as you think, and definitely the workout that you're doing as well too.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. What's the biggest misconception about fat burners?
The biggest misconception about fat burners.
This last one? Okay.
So if you read if you go off to read something, just kind of keep it in your head and then come back up and then read it.
Okay. What's the biggest misconception about fat burners?
I think the biggest misconception about fat burners is that it just burns fat, right? Like it gives you energy. It gives you that opportunity to burn those calories. But in some cases, you're just burning calories. So that's fat, that's food, that's fuel, but that's also muscle. Right. And I think that's the biggest key sometimes is people think, oh, I'm losing weight. You're losing weight. But that could be a lot of different things. I mean, and IGF-1 and bone density and all that other direction. I mean, that's a different beast in itself. But truly, fat burners help you lose weight. That is not always fat.
So my question is then, what makes Heatwave different than those basic fat burners?
That is a great question, sir. Great question. So the biggest thing about Heatwave and the main ingredient about Heatwave is going to be your RIP factor. And so I'm going to nerd out a little bit, but RIP factor helps your body activate mTOR. That's mammalian target rapamycin. And that is the keyhole that turns on protein synthesis or allows you to be more anabolic. So you're building muscle and burning fat. You have catabolic, you're burning muscle. You have anabolic, you're building muscle. And with RIP factor within that fat burner, it puts you in that state of protecting that muscle and burning that fat specifically. So now, granted, you still got to do the work.
Right. 100%.
You still got to take your ass outside. You still got to run. You still got to sweat. But it puts you in that state to get that result that you're looking for.
That's elite stuff right there.
Got to be, man.
How important are carbs during excuse me, I missed that.
Let me pull this up to you real quick.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the one nutrition rule people should stop following immediately?
One nutrition rule?
Yeah.
Hold on, pause 1 second. You on the right one?
Yeah, because it says, what's one nutrition rule people should stop following immediately?
Nutrition advice would never survive.
I went down to my questions.
Oh, Matt asks?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're asking me my questions. I was supposed to ask you. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm completely lost.
So, Matt, you have what's the biggest myth people still believe about carbs, misconception about fat burners, and one nutrition rule. So that's correct.
Okay, the one nutritional rule people should stop.
Is there a good answer for that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about that, to be honest.
One nutrition rule people should stop following immediately.
Recognize that foie gras is a food group.
In terms of that one,
I mean, how do you
think-
feel about like intermittent fasting? You know, that's something that
Everything's beneficial, bro. Like, it's hard.
portionality.
Portionality, serving size, bulking. I have a way to answer it, but maybe not in the one nutrition rule is bad. All right.
The way the question is formulated.
Yeah. No, just ask the question, and I'll adjust it.
Okay. Tito, what's one nutrition rule people should stop following immediately?
I wouldn't say necessarily there's one nutrition rule that everyone should follow, but depending on your program, depending on your path, right? Whether it's hydrating too much, whether it's protein at a certain timing, whether it's too much citrus. I mean, there is going to be always something that's going to hold you back, right? And I think one thing that for runners that people always pushed on is, bulking and eating way more that first day or 2 days prior. Sometimes that isn't always going to help you depending on your overall metabolism and workout prior, right? So if I just started running and I decide to bulk up on food 2-3 days before, and I don't do that frequently, it's not going to affect you like you think that the marathon runner does. Right. So, I mean, everyone is going to work a little bit different, but at a certain point in time and stage that you're at, you kind of need to lean or adjust to what is being shared. Right. So, for example, me and you, if you talked to us maybe 10, 15 years ago, we're high-end athletes. We're playing football. We're balling. Right now, don't know if we can go run a marathon.
It's not happening.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But could we take those steps to get into that path? Absolutely. So it's hard to say one rule is wrong because there's so many different bodies, so many different people. You kind of have to adjust to the path that you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess science is ever changing, right?
Always
We're
changing.
learning something every year, every month, every week.
100%.
Something different.
Always. It's always evolving. And it needs to, right? We always got to get better, and you will always evolve to get better.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think I have questions for you, right?
Yeah, he has questions for me. No?
Remember, Tito, when he's answering, you can look down and read and do whatever, but when you're answering, don't look down.
Okay, sorry. Got it. All right, Matt. Well, I have a couple questions for you, sir. The first question is, what nutrition advice would never survive in an NFL locker room?
I actually think that's kind of a myth in itself. Guys try anything and everything.
No comment.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
To be honest.
100%.
I know like I said, I've tried low fat, I've tried low carb, I've done excess protein, you know what I mean? Like just tried so many different things because you have coaches, right, who aren't scientists, and they come in and he might look at you and say, hey, I had a guy who played cornerback and he looked just like you and he was 212 pounds. That's what I want you to be. right?
Mhm.
And for somebody who's never really been at a calorie deficit, you know what I mean? All of a sudden now you're having to try to make adjustments by yourself, you know what I mean? Unless you have a nutritionist or something like that, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's putting that plan together
Right.
that you need. Yeah, yeah.
I never understood macros until I was almost done playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like having that knowledge, anything is welcome, I would say, in the locker room.
Well, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize too, is sometimes as a collegiate athlete, yes, you are trained, you are taught, but from the food standpoint of things, right? The meal planning, it's really not presented to you as often as you would think. And then when you get into that NFL standpoint, like you're not really getting your hand held,
Right.
right? Like, yeah, you get a nice check. Yeah, you get what you need, but you don't have that personal trainer. You don't have that nutritionist like a lot of people think you have.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, in college, you know, you come down, you do your workout, they fill up a
They
big old
bring
shake
you
for
your
to
protein
take, then they
shake.
walk you upstairs to the training
Yeah.
table, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Sit there and watch you eat X amount of
They
calories.
call you at 4 a.m. Hey, drink your shake.
Yeah.
Hey, eat that second meal. And it's interesting when you go to that next level. It's not provided as often as people truly think.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next question for you: how important were carbs during your playing career?
They're important. You have to have energy. You know what I mean? I know at one point in my career, became hard for me to take carbs because that's when I became type 1 diabetic. And so I was really trying to adjust things, you know what I mean? My levels of spikes and crashes and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I wish I would have had a carbivore, you know what I mean? That made things a lot more stable, you know? That dehydroberberine, you know?
Exactly.
That type of stuff. I had no knowledge of it, you know what I mean? So that was something that I had to definitely fight, but there's a reason for it. There's an importance. You're not going to get through that workout, that extended workout, lifting heavy, you know what I mean, without having
100%.
carbs in your system.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have the breakdown of the muscles and stuff like that. All this stuff means something.
Well, yeah, and I think it goes back to the question earlier, you know, can carbs be bad? It's just about that balancing act, right? Like, what are you doing? How are you working out? Do you have that protein limit? So it's always a back and forth. And honestly, everyone is going to be different.
Yeah. And I actually remember, you know, trying something where I was like, stop eating my carbs at a certain time, you know what I mean? Where it's 4 o'clock. And then from there, I was eating protein and fats.
Kind of like an intermittent fasting-esque kind of idea, but adjusted for you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Nice. Makes sense. Those are all the questions that I have, sir.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you well. Appreciate it.